He pisses me off.
Gotta circumcise the mosquito.
All right, what's happening, everybody? This is the Philly Experience broadcast. We are here on the campus of Monco in the Monco Radio Studios this Monday afternoon, February 24th. I'm here alongside Chris Stacker, Tanner Gilmartin, Tyre Hood, and as always, I'm your host, Max James. Chris.
Me.
How we doing?
Oh, I'm spectacular. How are you, Max?
Very well.
James?
See, Tanner, how we doing?
Phenomenal.
Chilling.
Ready to get this show on the road?
Doggone right.
Yes.
Lots of topics to talk
What's
about
he here
today, and we can, dive into anything anyone feels passionate about because the last week here since we left the studio last Monday has been pretty hectic. The Phillies spring training is underway in Clearwater. Lots to talk about there. Andrew McCutchen's injury. I'm hearing a lot of
McClutchen.
Yes, sir. I'm hearing a lot of optimism about him. And I just want to pump the brakes maybe a little bit because the ACLs are, up in the air as far as the recovery time period and everything like that. So that's just one topic I want to discuss. Talk about some Flyers. They're super hot right now. They just beat the Winnipeg Jets Saturday at the Wells Fargo Center. Chris was there.
Oh, yeah.
So he got to enjoy that.
Hell of a time.
I guarantee you it was. It's always fun going down there. Sixers, probably the most heated topic today, just based on the fact that they
ridiculous.
got embarrassed on national television this past Saturday night against the Milwaukee Bucks. And furthermore, Ben Simmons now has a back injury that no one knows the significance of yet. No one knows how bad this injury really is to Ben Simmons. And we're all hoping for the best. But the fact is, even guys who are around the team, reporters who are around the team, don't know any specifics yet. So we'll touch on that a little bit. And, let's get underway here. So I will start with the Philadelphia Eagles. Just real quick, touch on Alshon Jeffrey wanting out and also Nigel Bradham getting cut for a surprising, for me personally, a surprising move, considering that we don't really have any other linebackers on the team.
Our best linebacker.
See, that's my whole thing with that move. Like, I understand they was trying to get younger at the position. I did not expect Bradham to get cut. I kind of expected them to at least hold on to Bradham for at least one more season because, yes, that linebacking position is a very, very evident weakness. And it's something that we fussed about week in and week out throughout the entire season. I'm a little shocked. Like, I really hope they don't expect to go into a season with Kamu Grugier-Hill and Nate Gary pretty much as your predominant linebackers.
Well, does this move mean there's something in store?
I hope so. Something.
It's been a pretty quiet offseason thus far, unless something else happens. What do you guys think about this whole Alshon Jeffrey thing?
Well, for me to start here, I think that one, I'm not surprised. We know that Alshon has, been behind the scenes, or that one situation with Josina Anderson and talking behind the backs, so to speak, of some of the teammates about Carson Wentz and how they don't really get along.
Always on your back. The
But-
unhealthy backs.
I do think that Alshon Jeffrey's time in Philly is coming to an end, and it really all depends on how much we could get. See, obviously not a big fan of Alshon Jeffrey right now, but I think it really all depends on what you can get back for him, and if you even really have any suitors, because he had a season-ending injury last year, and is he really back to full strength yet? We all don't really know. So I think it's going to be an interesting thing to watch play out, especially with the draft coming up, because if we draft a receiver, that could mean that Alshon will be traded definitely, and if not, then he'll be back. Again, for me, I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% on getting rid of him because I still think he can be productive, and also we still need that kind of jump, go get it to receiver, because J.J. Arcega-Whiteside in his first year disappointed. My thoughts would be different if Arcega-Whiteside produced, which he did not, because him and Jeffrey have the same kind of skill set in a certain way. So I think that if we can get a decent pick for him, maybe like a third, fourth round pick, possibly, then it would definitely be worth considering.
Okay, I hear your points, and you do bring up some good points about him being a jump ball receiver Here's the reason why I think you can get rid of Alshon Jeffrey. First and foremost, most of his production has come from a former quarterback that used to be here that is now the current quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Nick Foles. So the chemistry between Alshon Jeffrey and Carson Wentz was never there. Not like that compared to the level of Nick Foles and Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so from that standpoint, I do understand Alshon Jeffrey's frustration. Of course, any big-time receiver, he wants the ball in his hands so that he can prove what he can do with the ball in his hands. So I can understand him not exactly being on par with Carson Wentz, but that doesn't mean you go behind the back of the team and you talk to reporters about you're discontent with the team. That is where I have a problem with. Why do you need to go outside of the locker room instead of actually talking to the people within the locker room, talking to the coaching staff, talking to your teammates? Why did you go behind their back? That's the part I have a problem with. And because most of these rumors started from him, most of the turmoil in the locker room started from him, it seems like, listen, you got to go. You're a problem. Carson Wentz is the franchise quarterback, period, point blank. I don't care what your skill set is. And frankly, at this point, I look back at the past season and he's not worth the money that we're paying him for the production that he has put forth this past season.
Usually in the NFL, the money people get in their new contract is based on their past production and not their future production. And Alshon Jeffrey, again, with the Chicago Bears, had a great couple of years there, and that's what earned him that money. But listen, the names that we have on this team right now from a wide receiver position are just not strong at all.
You are correct.
So I'm just not sold on Arcega-Whiteside becoming a good player. I'm just not sold on based on what I've seen. Now, you can have a lot of hope and optimism. And again, I'm not arguing that because he only had one season and he was good in college, obviously. But I just think that if you bring Alshon Jeffrey back, at least it gives you somebody who's been a staple of this passing game for the last couple of seasons. Again, won a Super Bowl with this team, has been around the same coaching staff for all this time. And if you cut him or if you trade him, for starters, you better get a receiver in the draft.
Agreed.
Because of
argument.
Because of how injury prone Jackson is over his career. And to top that, I would think you would need to shy away from a speed threat, which is what we've been hearing.
That is where I disagree with you.
Why do you disagree with that?
There's a reason why you need another speed threat. I think another speed threat will just open up this offense even further. You say we don't have a jump ball receiver. I don't call Zach Ertz a jump ball receiver, but he is a big receiving target that we utilize in the red zone. Same thing goes with Dallas Goedert. We have two big bodies that we don't necessarily need, or the requirement for us to get a jump ball receiver isn't up there. You really just need a speed guy to really stretch that field. Can you imagine most teams playing two safeties high against, let's say, for example, Deshaun Jackson, and let's say a Henry Ruggs III, who's probably going to run a 4.2, 4.3 this week at the combine.
Yeah, they're saying he's the next Tyreek in speed-wise.
Can you imagine that? Like, seriously, a defense comes out two safeties high. They're trying to, combat the deep ball. They're leaving the middle of the field wide open for Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz. Or even better yet, because they're playing everybody in coverage, that opens up the run game for Miles Sanders because the linebackers are 5-7 yards off the line of scrimmage. Things like that.
Listen, you're not going to get any argument from me. I think anytime you can add speed to the outside is a good thing. I'm just sitting here considering the fact that, when you look how to build a team in a way, you kind of always want to have, you want to have good players everywhere, but you want to have a stud tight end like Ertz, what we have, and you want to have speed, and you want to have that jump ball kind of receiver. If you want to have optimism with Whiteside, that's fine.
No. I have no optimism with Whiteside, but that's
okay. So here's the problem. Then I'm not going to. If we get Ruggs in the first round, I'm not going to sit here and complain about it. I mean, that guy's a great talent, and he went to Alabama. Anytime you get a player from Alabama, it's usually a good thing.
What they want to see.
Right.
So go ahead, man.
Hey, if we're talking about building a team, this Jeffrey thing is going to be more complicated than it is because in 2020 he gets full guaranteed anyway. So it wouldn't help us getting rid of him, and actually it would hurt us because we'd have to also give up a trade pick most likely.
Yeah, I think the health is the key here because if he can come back healthy, I still think he can be productive. Again, he's not on the downside of his career yet, in my opinion. I only think he's not.
Which
30.
injury is he on? His foot now?
Yeah, his
Is
foot
that his
injury
latest?
cost him
But
his
see,
first year.
Tanner, you just said something right
Yeah.
there that was very, very, very direct. Which injury? It's always an injury with Alshon Jeffrey. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate the things that he's done here. But once again, which injury we're talking about here? Played through the entire Super Bowl season with a torn rotator cuff. I'm not going to question his toughness.
Right.
And then he started having leg injuries. Then the foot injury this year. Like, I'm sick of this. I need some consistency. I understand that we don't exactly have the best medical staff in the entire world, but come on, man. There's got to be something you can do yourself to kind of help your body out.
Right, just talking off of what the viewer sees, and I don't know the direct stats. Maybe someone can look up how many plays he played this season, but just from me watching the game, it was just he wouldn't play for a couple games, and then in the beginning of the season, he was in for like 3 plays. It looked like, and then he wasn't there the rest of the game, and he was gone. It was a mystery where he was and why he wasn't on the field.
Yep. It was funny because I was watching that All for Nothing series that came out on Amazon Prime Video, and they didn't really highlight Alshon Jeffrey like that. Alshon Jeffrey was hardly ever seen.
He doesn't really like media either, so
No,
that
which
could
is
be-
fine.
Alshon, by the way, is 30. He just turned 30 years old, February 14th.
All right, so
So maybe he's probably just exiting his prime. But again, not a number of age that you look at where it's like, whoa, eye popping, 32, 33, where he can't be productive. I think that Tanner brought up some good points, and I think obviously the money is for the money that he's getting paid is a little ridiculous. But I've always kind of been a fan of Alshon Jeffrey. I know there's been criticism in the locker room over the last few seasons, but I think if he can come back to healthy, he could still be productive for our offense. And I'm still focusing on the running back. I still, T, you can't just say that because it's not a guaranteed fact. He's shown signs that he can still be productive, and his age isn't a big time factor in my opinion yet. I still think he has maybe 1 or 2 good seasons left in him if he can stay healthy. Go ahead.
Okay. I hear you. I hear what you're saying, and I see what you're cooking over there. I do. I smell it. All right, it smells okay, but I'm still missing something. Consistency. One of the biggest things that I need on offense. It's one of the biggest problems that we had this past year was consistency with injuries, with catching the football, period. Consistency. I'm not getting that out of Alshon Jeffrey anymore. And at this point, the amount of money that I am set to pay him, I know I'm not going to get the consistency or the production.
Well, his contract's guaranteed for next year, isn't it?
Yeah.
So by cutting him, what good does that do you?
That's what I said earlier.
But they're not going to cut him. They're going to trade him.
And if you trade him, you have to give up a draft pick to get rid of him.
Listen, if that's what it takes, then fine. Listen,
This is
think
what I
can
was
move
saying
on without
earlier
Alshon
about
Jeffrey.
building a team. If you want to build a team, you're going to need those draft picks, and you can't get rid of Alshon without a draft pick.
I also think that teams won't give you a lot back in return for Alshon
Who's
Jeffrey.
going to want Alshon Jeffrey? The Browns?
But what if that draft pick is like a 6th or 7th round pick that I got to give up? Something like that.
What in your best case scenario would be something
You're
that
gonna
you
have
would
to
want?
give up more than just 6th round pick.
I'm just creating a scenario.
What would be your dream scenario of return for Alshon Jeffrey?
I know I'm not going to get much for him. As a matter of fact, I'm not expecting to get hardly anything at all for him because of that contract and his production and the fact that he's turning 30 years old. So I know I'm not going to get much for him.
And now
But
he's
I just
going in
need-
with an attitude issue, apparently, too.
Right. I don't need that. Let it be somebody else's issue. So is the sucker. Somewhere you can always give a player like that, too.
Here, T. So the Eagles have 2 3rd-round picks, 3 4th-round picks, and 2 5ths. So, I mean, I guess they do have the assets.
I think that Jeffrey better suits us being on the team than creating problems and headaches trying to get rid of him.
And Tanner, to answer your you were asking about
He played 10
Alshon's snap count. He was on the field for 493 snaps, which is 42%
Yeah.
for the whole year.
Do either
less
of you guys
than
want to
half.
guess how many yards he caught?
I know it wasn't more than 500.
It wasn't, but it was close. 490.
Wow. 10 yards. What did he
Yep.
stink and do? But once again, I'm not getting the production out of Alshon Jeffrey. And I hear what you're saying. Listen, I'm not saying Arcega-Whiteside at all needs to be played. I'm not saying that at all. As a matter of fact, I don't trust him at all. But that's the reason why I'm drafting a receiver in the 1st round, because I don't trust Arcega-Whiteside. But I can employ 2 tight end sets. Hence the reason why I'm going to put Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert out there predominantly with 2 wide receivers.
Look,
that prevents me from having to play a 3rd wide receiver.
I'm not going to act like I'm smarter than you when it comes to football.
All right.
But the only way Arcega-Whiteside is going to get better is by giving him snaps and putting him out there.
True.
I hear
And
what you're
look,
saying.
Wouldn't you rather just try to work this out?
I would. I'm not saying get rid of him. I'm not saying give up on him.
You wanting to give up on him after his rookie season.
I'm not giving up on him.
I beg to differ.
I'm not giving up on him, but I am looking at a need that I need to replace. Reason why I'm going after a speedy receiver now is because one, I do need a deep threat receiver
And don't
other
get
than
me wrong.
Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
2, back to Deshaun Jackson, he's injury prone too. What happened when Deshaun went out? We had no deep threat. So now, should Deshaun Jackson go down again, I still have a backup deep threat.
You know what? I'm tired of hearing Deshaun Jackson's name because, as far as I'm concerned, he's a bum to me. Because
Wow!
he still has something to prove. All right, what the
Those
first
are
2
fighting
games?
words.
First 2 games, and then what? Nothing.
Dumbass.
Wow!
I
He comes
think-
in here talking all this hot stuff about how he's going to be really good and blah, blah, blah. And then, 2 games? And then we struggle without him.
But that's
Right? He
but that
hurt
also-
us.
But that
And he
also-
hurt me, too.
Listen, I can make the argument if everybody comes back healthy that we have on this roster right now without our draft pick, which could be a receiver, could not be a receiver. I can make the argument that Alshon Jeffrey would be our best receiver next
Now,
season.
define everyone.
Okay, so the guys who we ended the season with, including Greg Ward Jr. and Arcega-Whiteside, for example, and I could throw in there Deshaun Jackson too,
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
because that's really all you're looking at. I mean, yeah, there's other names here with Perkins and guys like that,
Matt
but they aren't.
Hollins, what happened to him?
He
Well,
got
he
released
got
during the
released.
season.
Yeah.
Gone.
So
Get. He sucked.
We're-
Straight up. He did. I'm sorry.
He did. But again, like I just said, the names that are on this team right now, if they all come back healthy, which I hope they do, because rehabbing in the offseason obviously is super important to how you produce in the upcoming season. But I think if they all can get back healthy, that Alshon Jeffrey could be your best receiver next year as a whole. I mean, yeah, you're going to have if again we're all talking about injuries here. If Deshaun can play a full season, yeah, you'll have the occasional bombs from Wentz to him. But as a whole, Alshon Jeffrey is the one who's been moving the ball down this field. Him and Ertz the last couple of years when they were winning the Super Bowl, for example.
But the difference is I can rely on Ertz. I can't rely on Jeffrey. That's the big difference.
Last season, yes. Last season, yes.
Ertz played with broken ribs in playoffs.
Let me ask you guys this: the cutting of Nigel Bradham. Do you think that has anything to do with trying to get Jordan Howard under contract?
Well, obviously, it
'Cause
does have
I
something to
mean-
do with money. I mean, they were trying to save as
Yeah.
much cap space as they can.
Yeah.
As far as Jordan Howard specifically as the player they're targeting to sign, I don't know. We also heard the rumors about Darius Slay too.
I don't know how you couldn't want to.
I'm really looking
You know
forward
what?
to seeing what they do with Jordan Howard.
I'm glad you brought up Darius Slay. I don't want Darius Slay.
Why not?
I don't want. He's 29
here we go.
years old. No.
Coach T.
Listen, hear me out. Think about our history of corners that we've picked up, that we've traded for. 29 years old. The last time we picked up a corner that was that old, Kerry Williams. Before then, Nnamdi Asamoah. Should I remind you how those two players played?
Well, so you know what? Let's just roll in this season with Mills and some fan that we pull out of the
heck no.
crowd.
I'm not
remember
saying you
Nnamdi
any-
Asamoah. He's supposed to be a great star, and then
Yeah.
we know
See,
what
as a
happened.
fan base here, and again, I think we get so caught up in trying to play GM with numbers and cap space. As a general fan, of course I want Darius Slay in here. He makes our team instantly better in the secondary. Why wouldn't you want it? I mean, yeah. Look, we start talking draft picks. Oh, we have to give up this pick. We have to give this. Well, yeah, okay. Those guys, it almost relates to the Sixers. Those guys can turn out.
Backwards, damn it. Let's go.
Those guys can turn out well in the future, but right now you get a guy in his prime, Darius Slay, who has a proven track record.
29
of being,
is not a prime year.
he has a proven track record of being good in this league,
In
and
the
he's
past.
showing no signs of slowing down.
I'd rather take a chance on Byron Jones from the Cowboys than
Yeah,
take
what do
a
you want to
chance
pay
on
him?
Darius Slay.
How many millions you want to pay him?
Now, that's a good question.
You just go trade for Slay. It's a better play, in my opinion.
Either way, you're going to have to pay him.
You know what? I said this last year.
Probably, but I think you're going to have to pay more for Jones than you would for Slay,
Either way, you
based on age. I mean, just that's a fact.
Okay, so you get Darius Slay for 2-3 years, but then you still have a problem at the quarter position because 2-3 years you got.
Well, yeah, but 2-3 years in the NFL is a while. That's a solid stretch of time. That's 3 seasons right there. I mean, what do you want to get at? The corners aren't usually stick around for 10, 15 plus seasons unless they're superstars.
I hear you, Bax. I do. I hear you. I love you. I do. But look here, You need to get younger at the position. I hear you what you're saying. Yes, trade for if you. Trade
I disagree.
For
I think you got to get better at the position, and that's what Slay does.
We tried getting younger at the position with Sidney Jones and Avonte Maddox and Cravion LeBlanc, and we're still sitting here talking about how we have problems at the cornerback position.
I'm sick of this.
Fine, T. Please retort with whatever you got to say.
Cravion LeBlanc hardly played this past year.
Yeah, true.
Sidney Jones, we
He's
all
trash.
knew that was a question mark from the beginning.
Sidney Jones.
And Avonte Maddox had a very productive rookie year. I don't know what happened this past year.
I'll tell you what happened this year. I'll tell you what. You want me to tell you what happened?
I'm
T?
listening.
He had an atrocious season. He was getting burned up and down the field. Every star receiver that was going one-on-one with him. And first of all, again, and this goes back to coaching, he shouldn't be put in that position to begin with.
Boom.
Which I agree 100% with. I mean, the coaching staff is definitely a problem. And I point to that Green Bay Packer game. Devontae Adams absolutely cooked him on every play till he got injured. But I mean,
low lifes.
Maddox, I've never been a huge fan of. I get it. We need names in the secondary, so he's going to be here next season. But I'm not hanging my hat on Avonte Maddox to be a lockdown corner.
I'm not going to either, but at the same time, I'm not going to give up on a kid after 2 years.
Oh, I'm not saying cut the guy. He's going to be here. But I'm saying let's not, put all of our chips on the table and say, hey, Avonte Maddox, he's going to be a plug and play every game for us to start.
Then on top of that, we're concerned about the corners. Think about this for a second. We have to be concerned about the safety position too, because Malcolm Jenkins and Rodney McLeod are on the verge of not coming back either.
Right. T, I want to ask you this one thing before you get completely off cornerbacks. Are you still mad that we didn't get Jalen Ramsey?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Because you see how productive that was when he went to the Rams.
1 interception, 1 forced fumble.
That wouldn't have helped us out at all. As a matter of fact, I remember a couple of games watching the Rams where Ramsey got his behind handed to him.
T.
Yes.
I know this is me being very tinfoil hatty.
He's not your
is
cup of tea.
Exactly. I know this probably will never happen, but I feel like Jalen Mills would be a way better safety. I said this before, I think, actually.
I think we both said that.
I think we've said this before. I feel like Jalen Mills would suit the safety position much better.
He honestly would. But the refusal to put him in that position, that falls on coaching.
Well, that's why you got to get in there and be that defensive coordinator, too.
Yeah, well.
Jim Schwartz doesn't want to move him to safety. We don't know why.
Let's start a petition.
I guess it's because he's been playing the cornerback position his whole career.
Man, that's
and
ludicrous.
I don't know.
But his skill set directly matches what you would look for, especially in a deep safety. I feel as though Jalen Mills
You
would be a
get
heck of
no
a ball
argument from me on that
Can
one.
it really hurt his play, though?
No.
You get no argument from
He
me.
gets burnt when he's left one-on-one on coverages on double moves.
Instead of wasting time saying, I don't know if I want to move him position, do it. I mean, it's not
Please.
going to hurt anything.
That's just
His
straight up.
play, at
And
least.
Not like he was being productive as a
That's
corner.
what I'm saying.
Thank you.
And it doesn't fix the issue, but it's something you can do internally without having to make any sort of transaction.
Right.
So,
Thank you.
I don't know.
And that's why we're here and we're not coaches, I guess.
That's true. Very true.
All right, listen, I do want to touch on, before we get off the football topic, I want to, and no, Tanner, you have some XFL you want to chime in on there real quick, but I do want to bring up, Carson Wentz and his offseason coming up. Listen,
Oh, God.
so many frustrating points, so many frustrating moments, and I want to say this about Wentz. I really hope he gets a good full offseason of rehab and just comes out, ready to rumble the next season. We get some weapons around him. We figure out the running back situation, who we want to stay as far as Jordan Howard, like we mentioned. Is Miles Sanders going to be the guy 3 down back? Is he going to, obviously he'll be the lead role, assuming, no one else comes into the organization from a running back position. But that was always something last season that just irked me a little bit, the running back position. I just feel like it was so much of a rotation where Sanders was struggling early, and then, he started coming on, but then, they wanted to put Scott in there a little bit, and I was like, why can't we just stick, to one scheme script? Why can't we just get Sanders in there and then, have Scott play the Sproles role? It was never a smooth transition. It was always go with the hot hand type, which sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't.
They put Scott in due to the fact they wasn't playing Jordan Howard towards the end of the season, which once again still befuddles me to this day, because they would dress him, he would be healthy, but then they just wouldn't play him. They would only play Miles Sanders and Boston Scott, which once again, I guess you spoke about that point of playing the hot hand. I guess that's exactly what they were doing. But Jordan Howard, every single time he touched the ball, 4+ yards. Every single time he touched the stinking ball. I don't understand. And then sometimes in those short yardage situations, instead of having to put Carson Wentz in a situation where, he has to sneak the ball to get the first down, give it to a big back like Jordan Howard who's just going to put his head down and guarantee you 3 yards.
Yeah.
Yes, I just threw something in the studio.
What did you do?
I don't know. I'm angry now.
I think we all, Tanner, you too, agree that we would all like to have Jordan Howard back.
For sure. Yeah.
It's stupid.
How old is Jordan Howard? Is he 28?
Look that up right now.
25, 26, something like that.
say-
I know he's a young guy.
I know I should have just
25?
25?
I think.
Yeah.
Hey, that's,
I know he's a young guy. He's not that old. He's not. I think he was still on his rookie deal when we traded for him.
25 years old.
yeah, he still has a solid 5 years, I'd say.
And that
4 or 5.
and that would be a heck of a three-headed monster.
He's
to
still a
use.
top rusher, too.
Yes, I agree. And you could probably bring him back on the cheap, considering the fact you didn't play him for second half of the season. He's probably not going to get that many buyers in free agency.
Probably not, especially because he had that injury that shoulder injury last year. So, yeah, you might not have a lot of teams vying for his services, but I would love to see him back in an Eagles uniform. I think he had a very productive season last year before he got hurt.
Great.
So,
Can I turn this to the quarterback position now?
Yeah,
Now,
go ahead.
I am 100% on, I'm team Carson Wentz. I'm a big fan of Carson Wentz. Knock on wood, if he has another season-ending injury, is that it for him in Philadelphia? I know he just signed a huge contract.
Come on.
Say this every season, I guess.
Yeah, we said this last year.
that's the frustrating thing,
I wonder if people said this about Donovan McNabb. I'm curious.
We talk about top 10
Did
quarterbacks.
he get injured every year and
Doggone
sit
there
out-
just about.
sit out the rest of the year?
Doggone there just
Nah,
about.
he led
ACL injuries, leg injuries.
He led those teams to NFC championship games.
Not that one time. Jeff Garcia.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I remember that.
You forgot about
I
that
remember
guy?
that.
Listen, I Carson, we had this
That was
conversation.
a while ago.
It feels like every week with Carson Wentz, but
Just saying.
one thing I want to say and point out here.
Look,
I really, really think Carson Wentz he's been falling backwards in everybody's top 10 category list. We always sit here and say top 10 quarterbacks, top 10 quarterbacks. Well, is there that big of a difference between the 10th ranked quarterback and the 4th ranked quarterback? Because I think there is, and where Carson Wentz is trending right now is in the wrong direction.
this is a guy who's going to be going into his 5th season, and he has 1 quarter of playoff experience.
If you tell me as a whole, when we drafted him up to this point, I felt like we needed more out of him.
Carson
I
Wentz
expected more.
Is the only quarterback in NFL history to throw for over 4,000 yards, and not one damn receiver had over 500 yards received.
I started this with I'm team Carson Wentz, and I'm a fan of Carson Wentz. But if the guy can't hang, what are you going to do?
So we're gonna say the simple fact that he can't hang based off of a concussion
I'm
that
saying
wasn't his fault.
If he can't hang, well, look,
And
it was
also a
Jadeveon
freak
Clowney's fault.
injury during the Super Bowl season, which once again wasn't his fault. Product of circumstance. I'm sorry. Like you can come at me all you want with that crap.
I feel like we all have a certain topic we want to discuss surrounding Carson Wentz, but I feel like with all the frustration built up with this team and how the season ended, we want to say something about Carson Wentz. Like we want to point fingers at Carson Wentz, like he's the reason why we lost.
Right.
But at the end of the day, he just had a freak injury, but it's just frustrating how the season ended.
Are you okay, Tanner? I thought you were dying.
He's also
Max isn't even concerned.
Tanner's fine. Tanner's fine. But
I'm all right.
back,
It's funny to me,
back
too.
to Carson Wentz, I feel like because he's the quarterback in a big city like Philly, he just gets so much criticism that sometimes he might not deserve.
He's going to. Yeah. I agree with you.
But
And that's the shameful part about playing in Philadelphia. Like, we really should not be having this conversation.
Carson Wentz is a very unlucky man. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
And that scares me because he's leading our team.
that's the thing, T. The quarterback position. The quarterback position is so huge
It's an
in
outrage.
sports in general. It's so key. And when you have a guy that has such a great season like he did in 2016, 2017, and then getting hurt, and it's just frustrating. And hopefully next season, when we get him back healthy, with the people we surround him with as well, hope we can go on another playoff
I
run.
hope he can stay healthy because we don't have a Nick Foles to fall back on.
Here we go.
We've gotten lucky the past
Here we
couple
go.
seasons. We really have. We've gotten lucky making
I
the
am
playoffs
pissed
with
off.
Wentz getting hurt and everything like that, especially last year, winning only 9 games in a regular season. Doug Peterson talked about after the Super Bowl season, this is going to be the new norm. And since that statement,
Wow.
we really haven't gotten over the hump as far as taking us into the NFC Championship game, taking us to multiple Super Bowls. And I know this is just a fan and me speaking and being impatient, but I want to get to that point. I want to be that team that people are talking about on national TV. Like, that's a dangerous team. You better look out for them every single year.
Okay, surround them with weapons. See what happens. See what happens.
Well, T, if you're
put some
Here we
consistent,
go.
put some consistent receivers around them. Let's see what happens.
T, if you're so smart, what's your answer to this whole thing?
Well, one guy who will not be back that we haven't mentioned yet today is Nelson Aguilar.
Get
You're talking about
out.
weapons,
Hey.
T, but a
Get.
good quarterback
We're
doesn't
running
worry
out of
about the
weapons.
weapons he has.
God.
He works with what he has.
Thank you. Yes, he is.
Yeah, what? He works. A good quarterback works with what he has.
Yes.
And I'm just gonna say Tom Brady. All right. He doesn't worry about. He barely knows the guys he's throwing the ball to sometimes. They just walked in that locker room. He has no problem.
I bet Tom
and
has
he's
his own
of
separate
lowlifes.
locker
he's the
room,
GOAT.
so he doesn't have to sit with the
So
now-
that's not a
peasantry.
valid reason for me.
So now you're mixing Tom Brady's name in with Carson Wentz. Is basically what you're telling me.
Well, I'm mixing a quarterback that we have with another quarterback that's the best quarterback ever to be on the football field.
Okay.
And that's unreasonable because he's the best to ever do it. And
Okay.
you're comparing him to another player that plays the same position.
Okay, I'm going to give you another example. Before the Amari Cooper trade, Dak Prescott looked like a pile of crap with
But he
just
was
him and Zeke
but,
Elliott.
But what did he do 2 years before that? What award did
with
he win?
Des Bryant
Oh,
and Jason Witten
Okay.
with
this guy's
weapons.
got Des Bryant, Max. Talking about Des Bryant.
The simple fact that he had weapons around him. And then when he only had one, when Dak Prescott only had Zeke Elliott in the backfield and no receivers, he stunk out loud. Everybody knew what the Cowboys were going to do.
There's more than just Dak Prescott in the league, T. There's plenty other quarterbacks that are working with the same amount of wide receivers and the same skill that Carson has, and they're producing better.
Look, you can try to throw this crap at me all you want.
Hey, I'm not anti
Until-
Carson Wentz. I'm just saying you can't take it easy on him like
See,
that. all
I'm
the
not
time.
taking it easy on him.
Everyone in here likes Carson Wentz. We're all concerned about the Eagles.
Future.
The whole team.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the entire team then. All right. Let's start with the coaching.
Well,
Why
let's
is
talk
the
about Ryan Tannehill. Let's talk about Ryan Tannehill.
Listen, we could sit here until 11 at night talking about the Eagles and what they need to do. Listen, football is different. 11 and 11 on each side of the football field,
Yep.
right? This isn't NBA where you got a starting 5 where you just pinpoint, okay, well, this is what we need.
Yep.
You need a unit. You just need a whole unit to come together as one, especially
know
defensive
it's hard.
especially defensively. And right now, what we have on paper is not good enough. We need pass rushers. We need guys that are behind Fletcher Cox.
You're reading my mind.
Because listen, he can't play every snap. I mean, and even no matter how dominant he is, he's going to need a
Agreed.
breather. And one thing that we all look back on at the tape of how good we were in our Super Bowl year was we had an 8-man rotation.
Yep.
Just rotate guys out, and we would just get pressure on the quarterback every play.
Yep.
And we didn't need that good of linebackers. I mean, I don't remember pointing out our linebackers and saying that's the reason we won games because they kind of hid in the scheme of the defense, especially the
Did their job.
secondary, especially secondary as well.
A move we made after the Super Bowl, and I brought this up that year after the Super Bowl, is that this Patrick Robinson, him leaving, is still affecting us.
And that's
And
crazy.
I know it was ultimately his choice to leave,
Right.
but that is one move that I consistently look back at, that really changed the way our defense played.
And I can agree with that.
That's a good point.
I can definitely vibe with you, and I can definitely agree with that. And Max, you hit on some excellent points. Something that I've been stressing about for the longest. We put money into pass rushers that aren't doing their job. Pass rushing. Brandon Graham only had 8.5 sacks this season. I'm sorry. He got a $40 million contract last season. That's not getting it done.
That does sting.
That's not getting it done.
The more I think
A lot
about
of
this,
money.
And then Jadeveon Clowney, the Seattle Seahawks acquired
I would have
Jadeveon
loved to
Clowney
have Clowney.
for only a third-round
Yep.
draft pick. And
I
you
know
said
we
we
only
had
got-
2-3
Huh?
rounders this
You
year.
can still get him.
Well, we could, but at this point, we're gonna have to pay him a fortune.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess-
Yes.
But listen, pass rushing in this league is one of the reasons why you win the championship, and I'm not against paying Jadeveon Clowney money. Because the more I think about football, the more you watch it and the more as the years go on and the seasons go on, you really start to think maybe not. No team is ever going to have a great player at every position.
No,
you're not going to have an all-star team of players.
No.
You got to get the key positions to have the great players. You need a superstar quarterback to win in this league. That's a fact. You need multiple pass rushers to get to the quarterback and just keep putting pressure on them because eventually you can't just keep getting the ball out of your hands so quickly. Even the best quarterbacks can't do that. They're going to make mistakes and turn the football over. You need to have superstar pass rushers. You need to have good corners, at least one lockdown corner.
Yeah, I agree.
Because every team, well, not every team, but every good team usually has a superstar receiver that needs to be covered well, or else you're going to get burned by him.
Yep.
And those are three positions right there. You can live without having a superstar linebacker. Like the teams can win without having a Bobby Wagner.
Agreed.
Right? You don't need to have a superstar linebacker. You don't need to have a superstar running back. We've seen teams win like we did without we had LeGarrette Blount. We don't know. Not every team needs a Zeke Elliott or a Todd Gurley. So really focus on, especially through the draft. You need to have guys that are going to help you and be difference makers at key positions. We got our quarterback. We do. We have our quarterback. We need to get pass rushers. And again, how weak our receiving core is definitely eye-opening.
Yes.
But if we come out in the second round, for example, and get a pass rusher, I'm going to be thrilled because that's a super position and a very important position that we need to have success.
Agreed. You get no argument from me on that one.
All right. Let's transition here. 4:36, so we got about 20 minutes left here. I want to talk a little Sixers and a major concern because Ben Simmons is now dealing with a back injury, and they're tough. Really confusing as far as how long he will be out yet. And, every game, as far as when the Sixers play a good team and lose, we all have opinions of, okay, we lose to the bad, or we lose to the really good teams, we beat the really bad ones. But the problem with this is our superstar and usually our most durable player now dealing with an injury that could keep him sidelined for who knows how long. We're already dealing with a bad bench. Going out the trade deadline, Elton Brand tried to piece together something as far as getting Greg Robinson III, or Glenn Robinson III and Alec Burks, which, again, help our bench out. But when you look at teams like Saturday night, watching games like that and watching the bench, I mean, the Milwaukee Bucks have like 7 or 8 guys that just knock threes down. And look at Robin Lopez. Robin Lopez used to be a guy for the Portland Trailblazers who was a laughable player. Used to laugh at him. Now he's out here shooting threes for the Bucks.
I'm sorry, I'm a little annoyed because Ben Simmons didn't even need to play against the Bucks because if we're being honest, it's the Milwaukee Bucks.
Agreed,
right?
man. Agreed.
We don't really need. We already know they're going to be a playoff team. All right, and instead of focusing on beating the Bucks, which was not realistic, he's already missed Thursday's game, right?
He's already missing.
And the game was on Saturday.
Yep.
Why not sit him again and have him rest? You know his back's sore. Why are you playing him as a starter with a sore back?
Can we go down to the Sixers facility and slap who's ever in charge of the training?
I agree, T. I can't
seriously,
have Ben
can we
Simmons.
go down and slap them? Like, seriously.
Here's another reason. Here's another reason to look at. We have the Hawks tonight. We have the Cavaliers, and then the Knicks. That's 3 W's. No matter who is out. Well, even if Simmons is out, for example. Right? So you just sit Simmons. You take your beating in Milwaukee. You're not going to beat them anyway. They're just flat out better than us.
Exactly.
And then you go on a 3-game winning streak against, say, the teams I just mentioned, starting I think it's Pulse. You don't even need Simmons tonight.
Now you're going to have Trae Young hit 50 points on us, and all for nothing. Because, exactly, like I said, why play Ben Simmons when he already missed the previous game, and it's the Milwaukee Bucks, who, by the way, are now the fastest team to make the playoffs.
That's true. February 23rd.
The man doesn't even have kids, and now he has back issues. I don't understand it. Like, I just don't. I'm sick of this, man.
Listen, and Tanner, you make a good point. I could argue even to sit Joel Embiid, who played a tremendous amount of minutes. That would have been, Thursday night they played the home game against the Nets? He played a crazy amount of minutes, and especially because Simmons was out. And you know how his injury history was and how he's dealing with, the weight issue and not hustling a lot. You just sit him in Milwaukee, take your beating, and get back on the plane.
What the hell is going on?
And then, go on this, hopefully, 3-game winning streak starting tonight.
What? Embiid's pissing me off.
Uh-oh.
I tried so bad to have his back. He's slowly pissing me off. How do you call yourself the best player in the world and then you come out and only score 17 points against the Milwaukee Bucks.
Here's the one thing I'll argue with that. He took shots inside. He wasn't being, how we all stated before. You don't want him out there shooting threes. At least he's taking the shots inside and back
And you
down
did
his
bring up
opponents.
the team he was playing against.
On the road.
Yeah.
Okay, Jordan,
Come on, T.
I consider the best in the world, and he never made excuses about what team he went up
See,
against.
have those Lopez brothers inside are
LeBron.
Well, now you're bringing up Michael Jordan within the mix of Joel Embiid. T. Explain.
Don't turn around. Shut up, Tanner.
The Bucks, and I just want to say this about the Milwaukee Bucks real quick.
Man, that's
They're
ludicrous.
so dangerous. They are so dangerous, and I'm not going to say and raffle off all their players, but they have a crazy amount of talent on that team, and I could easily see them winning the NBA Finals over assuming the Lakers or the Clippers make it.
Now, Chris.
but they had knockdown shooters.
Yeah.
I asked you what the Bucks record was last week, and
Yeah.
since then they've only lost one game. They're 48-8.
Yeah, 48 and stinking 8. Think about that for me.
It's incredible.
48 and
Fix
stinking
the
8.
thing. Thank you.
Chris, what do you think the Sixers team needs to do going forward?
That's a good question, Tanner.
Because I'll tell you what, we're going to see a lot of Shake Milton now. Now that Ben Simmons is,
Look.
dealing with this back injury, and I heard that he wasn't too happy with the results that he was receiving either. So that doesn't make me feel too well.
No, it scares me. That scares me. Now I'm genuinely concerned.
I agree, but here's the thing. Me always trying to look forward and look
Shake
ahead.
Milton sounds like a great player.
We go into the playoffs, we're going to be the 5 or the 6 seed. I'm hoping we're the 6 seed because we can avoid Milwaukee if we miraculously win in the first round. And here's the thing. I'm trying to think about the future here. What do you guys think we got to do here to ultimately win the championship was the ultimate goal?
Well, right now, I don't see us beating a team like the Heat.
No.
If Simmons has a serious injury, do you sit him the rest of the season and just say, chalk this one up in the law? We're not going to win the title anyway. Do you just make sure he's safe and have your
Brett Brown's
superstar?
not going to have that happen because this is also his job on the line.
You know what? You know
It's
what?
true.
You know what, Max? You said what did the team need to do? Hey, yo, Brett Brown, seriously.
Get the out!
All right?
Okay, T, but
Get
that's
out.
going to happen at the end of the season.
See, that's happening regardless, in my opinion. Brett
Yeah.
Brown knows he's gone. He's
This is
tried
just-
everything. He's
this
tried
is a
different
tryout for him.
He's tried different rotation changes. He's tried giving the team a message in the locker room, telling Sims to shoot. No one's listening to him. He's gone at the end of the season.
Good.
That's a fact, I believe.
Good.
Now, here's the thing: does this team have the right pieces in place to when a coach comes in, say maybe a Jay Wright, to take over the team? No. Does this team have the pieces in place in order to get to the next level and get deep into the playoffs and make a good run?
Really, Chris? I love your optimism. I really do.
I'm just being.
We're trying to come up with
I'm
solutions
just being
here.
real here.
Doggone it.
Hey,
Chris is right.
The thing is, I think another thing with Brett Brown is he went through. He was with this team when they won 10 games, 9 games,
Okay.
and look, I think he grew some sort of an attachment to this team. And I know it's not the same players, but I think you need a guy who is used to winning to come in
Jay Wright?
and kick these guys in the ass.
I agree.
And that's the reality of it.
Straight up. I agree. You get no arguments from me on that. Yep.
Am I wrong, Tanner?
No, you know what? And what Max asked earlier is if another coach comes in, we don't have the pieces, and you were right to say no, because what we were looking forward to a few seasons ago is the off season, and in some points they kind of failed that way because the team almost looks. We have the same stars, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and that's those are our 2 stars.
But they are who we thought they were.
Listen, I also want to put some heat on Elton Brand here because, one, the contracts that he's signing these players to, or I should say signed the players to previously, we've all sat here and stated how ridiculous the contracts are of Horford and Tobias Harris. But I do want to add in this other thing. The rotation at point guard. What happened? We have Neto. That's our only true point guard on this team behind Simmons. We cut Trey Burke, who, at the time I was like, not going to matter. But at the end of the day, Neto is our only true point guard on this team. And Furkan, Shake Milton, for example, Alec Burks, they can handle the ball, I guess, but they're not true point guards.
You know what, fellas? You know what I just thought about? And this literally just came to my mind. This team has never had a true point guard.
You know who we could
actual
have?
True point guard.
You know who he could
Not
have?
Ben Simmons, an actual true point guard.
I agree. Now, here's the thing. Guess who we got rid of that we could have right now who's been serviceable in the league?
Who?
Markelle Fultz.
Oh, God. Here we go.
We got rid of Markelle Fultz for who? Who was that? Simmons? Who was that guy? Tanner, you knew who it was. We got him from San Antonio. Jonathan Simmons.
Yeah, there you
Jonathan Simmons. That's who we traded Fultz for. And now we need a point guard. Fultz is actually playing well for the Orlando Magic.
But
And
there
now-
has to be a reason that he's playing well for that team and not our team.
Exactly. And you see what you brought up earlier, the coaching staff and the medical staff.
Yes.
Flat out.
Yo,
Obviously, Orlando.
Another
has-
point guard that I thought, and I showed Max, could be a change was Landry Shamet when we got rid of him.
Can
That's a
someone
good
tell
one.
me why we have Kyle O'Quinn on the team still? Like in all seriousness,
I do
in all
agree with
seriousness,
that one.
why is Kyle O'Quinn on the team when we need a guard? We need a point guard.
Last time I heard Kyle O'Quinn's name, he was ordering chicken nuggets on the team airplane.
He's
That's
the
the
fourth
last time I
center
heard
on a
him.
team that doesn't need any
What's
more
he here
front
for?
court depth. He's the fourth center. He's the biggest cheerleader on the bench. Even when we were getting slaughtered against Milwaukee, where all of our weaker players were in the bottom of the bench, he wasn't even in the game. He
understand what I'm saying to
wasn't
you?
able to make the trash 5 players that were on the court in the final 3 minutes of that game Brett Brown put in.
What's he here for?
He really
Exactly.
is. He hasn't done a thing, and you don't expect him to. And again, he would be hidden in this team if this team was winning, because
I
winning
agree.
cures all. But the fact that they're not winning, we start looking at this team and start pinpointing problems. I'm not saying you start with Kyle O'Quinn, but goddamn, get another body in there. Get a different guy who's actually going to
lowlifes.
produce for you. I mean, Neto, he wasn't even expected to be a real player, and he was supposed to be, just a guy you have on your bench when you're either blowing a team out or getting blown out, And now we're looking at him like, man, Neto, get out there and play like a solid 25 minutes a night.
Once again, we need an actual true point guard.
Norvell Pell, he's out there just collecting fouls left and right. I mean, again, he'll block
First
a shot.
2 minutes in the game, he gets 2 fouls.
Yeah. I mean, he'll block a shot once in a while, but come on, man.
You piece of Swiss cheese.
Thank you, Chris. But once again, we need a point guard that can shoot 15 to 18 feet. And we need a point guard that's going to distribute the ball.
I agree. And the fact
And
of the
actual-
matter is, too,
not
we don't
Simmons.
have the opportunity to get that right now.
No,
because
not
it's
anymore.
the trade deadline's passed. We're in a playoff push scenario.
Yep.
We can't do anything until the offseason, really.
Nope.
And I think another guy we can bring up here, Tobias Harris. I mean, he's getting paid $180 million. I don't even know if he deserves $80 million the way he's playing.
And I'm a fan of Tobias Harris. I really am, but he has really disappointed.
He's
And that's a
getting he's
doggone shame.
overpaid $100 million, in my opinion. He's overpaid $100 million.
That's
$100 million.
Yeah, no.
He's overpaid $100 million. How ridiculous is that?
Yeah, I know. And just think, what did Chris say? Chris, what did you say? $400,000 was
Yeah.
That's the GM. That's the
Tobias
GM just
Harris
saying.
and-
I mean,
I don't have
when
a
you
clue.
Look at it logistically, yeah, you just add 400,000. That's Jimmy Butler right there.
The GM is basically saying, listen, I have the guys in place like Tobias Harris. I'm just going to give him a $180 million contract. I mean, is he really much more? Is he really that much better than a role player in this league?
He's not. And the way he's been playing this year, he's not.
I mean, he's supposed to be our third best player on a finals winning team. That was the goal in the beginning of the season.
The crazy part is him.
Our
and-
third best player
him
on a finals winning team. Are you kidding me?
Him and Korkmaz are shooting the most threes on the team, and when they're home, man, they're worth every penny. But man, when they are on the road, dude, what the hell is going on? Seriously.
It could be the most frustrating season, definitely from my standpoint, or as being a Sixer fan over the years. And you just hope that your star players are healthy, and when we get a new coach in here, things change. Because
Please.
Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, I'm not, in my opinion, I'm not trading either one of those
No.
guys. There's too much potential, too much talent there. Where I'm saying, okay, we have to break this apart. You got to get a coach in there that knows what he's doing. Here's an example: Dwayne Casey, a couple years ago for the Raptors, won Coach of the Year, got fired
Yep.
because the Raptors knew he's not the answer to get us to the promised land. They
All
get
right.
Nick Nurse. What happens? They win a title.
Or how about Mark
You know?
Jackson? Let's get him out the booth.
You got even when the Raptors were really, really good and winning a lot of games with Dwayne Casey, the front office knew, listen, his guy isn't the guy. We've tried this experiment for how many years now with Brett Brown? 7 years?
yeah,
It's
been
not
about that
working.
long.
You can't fire the guy now. I don't think anything's going to happen
No.
not even mid-season,
not
past
worth-
mid-season.
It's not worth firing them at this point. You just got to roll along with the punches and, just go along for the ride until eventually the wheels fall off, which unfortunately they will fall off.
It's just disappointing that
Already
we're
missing a wheel too.
Yeah, that's true.
we really are. It's disappointing that we're in February and we're thinking ahead to try thinking ahead to the offseason and what differences we can make to this team to improve it.
This
I mean,
really
it's disappointing.
Yeah, this really reminds me of the Eagles. barely. We get to the playoffs, but barely. No one knows how. It was just off luck, and then you're struggling because what are you going to do once you're in the playoffs?
We know it's hard.
Yep. And that's yeah.
Well, we'll see how these next couple of games play out. We have by the next time we're on the air here, we'll have 3 games passed. It'll be the Hawks tonight. Then we got the Cavs on Wednesday, the Cavs on Wednesday or Thursday, and then we have the Knicks after that. So 3 teams that we should beat on paper. Again, who knows with the way this team's playing right now?
I was about to say you can't guarantee a win anymore.
You're right.
You just can't.
We'll see.
I've gotten to that point.
You just got again, Tanner. You said it best. Just rack up as many wins as possible. We'll see where this thing goes in the playoffs when that gets here. The thing is, when I brought the point about avoiding Milwaukee in the playoffs, the Pacers are playing terribly right now too. Coming out of the All-Star break, they got beat by like 46 points by the Raptors the other night. And in order to be the 6th seed, the Pacers have to be playing better. And that's just something where you look at it where, you know what, I guess all we can do right now is win as many games as possible. Try to stay positive through these injuries now, especially with Simmons, and just get to the finish line, man, because there has to be some serious changes in the offseason for the Sixers, just like there needs to be changes for the Eagles in the offseason as well. Real quick before we get out of here, I do want to try. I probably won't be able to get to the Phils today, but I do want to talk some Flyers because the one bright spot in the city right now, the Philadelphia Flyers, are playing very, very well. They're 77 points total. They're the 3 seed in the Metropolitan.
Only 5 points out of first.
Really, only 5 points out of behind Washington, who has 82.
Pittsburgh yesterday.
Exactly.
Yeah, turn on your headphones. Just saying.
Nobody cares about hockey, man. 2 guys at the deadline. I don't know how big of a difference they're going to make, but at least Fletcher in the front office is making moves in order to get this team to win maybe a playoff round this postseason.
Nate Thompson's just a warm body. He's a guy to put in if someone gets injured or something like that. Derek Grant, he's going to be either.
Is he better than Scott Lawton?
Yes.
Okay.
On par.
Okay.
It's just a depth guy because. Honestly, I didn't even want to make a trade. I like the way this team is.
I think this team's playing really well, too.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
I like the way the team is right now. Don't make any changes unless someone gets injured.
I agree 1,000% with that statement.
He needs to learn how to wrap that thing up.
Right now, they can beat anybody except Tampa. I would say they can beat anybody in a 7-game series
I don't know
except Tampa.
Ooh, that's a stretch. See, I don't know if they can beat Boston in a 7-game series.
Dude, okay. I don't even understand how they are the best team in the
90
league.
points.
I don't get how they're the best team. Dude, I've followed the sport since I was a kid. I don't get how they're a good team. They have one good line, two other good forwards, 2 good defensemen, and a hot goalie. That's all they have.
That's all you need.
And they are like the best team.
Anytime you have a hot goalie, you know how it is.
Don't question it,
Maybe
Chris.
it's just
Enjoy
because
it.
it's Boston. Maybe it's just because it's Boston and they have to be good because they're in Boston.
Anytime you get a hot player in any sport, especially in the postseason, they can carry your team.
They could.
Hot goalies.
I could see them beating Boston. I could.
We should move it
In
on
a
to
7-game
sports.
series?
Yes, I could see them beating Boston.
One guy I've been really impressed with, obviously Travis Konecny's been great. Kevin Hayes.
Kevin
Hayes. What a guy. Remember how we sat here back in the summertime, I told you, what in the world, we're giving this guy how many millions of dollars? I never even heard of him. And now he comes in here.
When he was on New York, he was a Flyers killer.
Yeah.
He scored on them almost every game they played the Rangers.
Now that he's in a Flyers jersey and having the season that he's having,
probably
it's
the second best player on the team.
really impressive.
He is really good, yeah.
Carrying us, the game-winning goal the other night in Columbus.
That was, and that put so much distance between them and Columbus.
2 wins in a row against Columbus to really knock them or bumped us up in the standings.
And then,
Islanders still right on our heels. Carolina Hurricanes as well.
And they just made a big trade today too for a big centerman. So
who did they get?
They got a guy from Ottawa. You probably don't even know who he is. He's a good center though.
He's a really good center.
Yes, they gave up 4 guys.
So they're making a big time push then.
Yes,
in the playoffs.
Yeah, and Florida also no. Carolina got a center from Florida.
Okay.
So Florida, New York got the guy from Ottawa.
Okay, so
both teams
New
are
York
behind
Islanders
us.
Or Rangers?
Islanders. Both teams behind us
made big moves to try to catch us.
Yes.
I do think that the way we're playing right now, I'm not too nervous. I think this team's going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And if they keep playing this way, they can stay in that 3 spot.
Like I said, I think they could beat anybody in the East except Tampa.
So right now they're 3 points behind Pittsburgh.
They could beat Pittsburgh in a 7-game series.
I think they could. That'll be fun one.
Dude,
It'll be a fun one. It always is when they play Pittsburgh.
Oh, dude, yeah, and Dude, ever since with Ovechkin scoring 700 goals, ever since this whole thing about trying to get him to 700 goals, they've been so cold.
Really cold. But he finally got it the other night.
That's why we've been able to catch them.
Yeah.
Dude, the only team I can't see them beating is Tampa. I'm telling you.
Just stay the course. We got
What's the problem now?
San Jose Sharks
tomorrow night. Yeah.
San Jose tomorrow night at home. Anytime the Flyers play home game, it's a good night because they usually win at home. It's just like the Sixers.
The thing that sucks is that all the tickets are expensive as hell now.
So what are you looking at, a big Flyers guy, trying to get through as many home games as you can down the stretch?
Oh, hell yeah.
Stop with the soundbite. Throwing out any random soundbite.
You can't blame him for being excited about a successful Philly team right now.
Yes.
Hey, but yeah, they are. Hey,
Stay thirsty, my friends.
All right, T. You know what? Take over the show and shut it down. All right.
hey, the Phillies beat Baltimore. Just letting you know.
Phillies did beat Baltimore. What was the final? You got a final there?
8-7.
All right. I'll take it.
Whoa. We still got the XFL to talk about. The Houston Roughnecks are the only remaining undefeated team in the league. And the guy
Is that your boy, PJ Walker?
The guy leading from Temple, PJ Walker.
Yeah.
10 touchdowns, 1 interception,
Max, you watch
748
anything on
yards.
Netflix?
Temple strong, baby.
112.7.
This show's getting off the rails.
And honestly, the rating might be better than hockey.
Wow. Shots. All right. You guys missed any of this episode, you can always go to Philly-experience.simplecast.com. Available on all major platforms. Matter of fact, you know what? We available everywhere. You ain't got to download nothing. Just look our name up and we there. I can guarantee it.
What, that big now?
Boom. Yes.
Really?
Yes, we are. Yes.
This is news to me.
Just look us up anywhere. And we'll be there. If we're not there, you ain't look hard enough. Straight up.
I want to see people rip their heart out of their f***ing chest. I'm not putting up with it. It's too much horse. It's too much.
What is going on back there?
Kind of circumcising the mosquito.